Hello everyone. In this video, I'm gonna teach you to use Tailwind CSS into your Django project. So before starting to make a project, make sure you have Python installed in your system. Uh, I already created the virtual environment.pnv. So if you want to create the virtual environment, here is the command that is used to create the virtual environment. Now let me activate the virtual environment. The virtual environment is activated. Now let me install the Django into here. So Django is already installed into my virtual environment. Now let me create the Django project with Django admin, start, project, Django Tailwind CSS with the name Django Tailwind CSS. So inside the Django Tailwind CSS, let me create a blog application with command python manage.py start app blog. Now let me open into the VS Code. Yeah, I trust it. So now let me activate this block application into our Django project. So to activate that application, you have to include that name inside the install app. Let me save this. Uh, well, Now let me run the server with python manage.py runs server. I visit the 8000. So the Django server is running successfully on port 8000. So now let me create a function called home, which return the HTML template uh, like home.html. Uh, this home.html should be inside the template directory of the block application. So let me create the templates inside templates. Let me create home.html. Let me change the title Django with Tailwind CSS and hello. And to map this function to our URL, I have to import this home function into our URL.py file. Let me map that with URL like path and views.home name is equal to home. Now let me import the view block from block import views. Let me save this. Now when I refresh this page, it's a hello. Now to use the Tailwind CSS into our HTML template, I have to install the Tailwind CSS and Tailwind CSS CLI. But first of all, you have to Node.js install into your system. Now let me kill this server and let me clear this. And oh, here is the Tailwind CSS documentation. From the documentation, let me install the Tailwind CSS and Tailwind CSS CLI. And let me paste here. So what it does is it creates the package.json file inside the package.json. It mention the dependencies that we install. We install the Tailwind CSS and Tailwind CSS CLI. Now let's move to the, so to use the Tailwind CSS, we have to import the Tailwind CSS. Let me copy this and let me create a static directory, static, and inside the static, let me create a CSS directory inside the CSS. Let me write input.css. Let me paste the command that I copied. Let me save this and let me link this is input.css into our HTML file. So to that, I have to write static and CSS insert CSS directory. Uh, there is the input.css file. I have to load the static. Let me save this. So in the Tailwind playground, I paste the command which is look like this when the Tailwind is successfully execute. So let me copy this and let me paste here. I want to make sure that does this um after mapping the with the input.css, does this work or not. So let me save this and let me paste. Let me refresh. So I haven't run the server. Run the server. So it say, oh, I forget to mention the load here. Load. Let me save this and refresh this page. So actually, the Tailwind CSS isn't applied into our Django project. So that's the reason the output is shown like this. If it is execute, the output will be this, shown in this way. So now let me move to the Tailwind CSS documentation. So here what it says that here is a command that is used to convert this Tailwind into the styling which is understandable by our Django project. So now let me copy this. Let me copy this. Let me paste here. So let me change the path of this. The input.css is located inside the block application. Inside block, there is a static and CSS. And we want to, let me give the path of output file, block insert static and CSS insert CSS. Let me, uh, let me give the output file style.css. Actually, the watch is not needed currently. Now, when I press enter, it creates the style.css file, which generate the new styling, which is understandable by our Django project. Let me map this style.css into my Django project. Style.css. Let me save this and let me refresh this page. As you can see, the Tailwind CSS is running successfully into our Django project. So in this way, you can connect the Tailwind, you can use the Tailwind CSS into your Django project. Let me show you one thing, guys. There is a catch into this project. If I change, let me move toward the Tailwind CLI playground. Let me give the background basic background gray. Let me give the background red. So Let me copy this code and when I paste here, our output should be like this. So let me refresh this page. So, but here the output isn't look like this. What it does is that command only generate the CSS styling that is useful for our HTML file. So what we have to do is that when this HTML file is updated, we want to run this command. So for that, I have to create a script. So let me create a script here. Script, our script will be this. Control copy, and this will be watch. Let me paste here. Let me save this. I have to write the hyphen watch. So when the time of HTML file is updated, this will generate the new code into the standard CSS file. Let me save this and now let me run now our script with npm run watch. So yeah, if I change, let me do one thing. Let me move to the here and let me change the background to something like maybe green. Yeah, green. Well, so our output will be look like this if I change the background of this text. So let me change the background to green. When I save this file, it automatically regenerate that code into the install.css. So when I refresh this page, now it's working. In this way, you can use the Tailwind CSS with the Django. There is no need to install any package like Django Tailwind, which is used to use the Tailwind CSS into your Django project.